This other case is one I've been keeping a particularly close eye on recently. It deals with an unknown alleged Vermont serial killer who apparently has been stalking the backwoods and may have more victims. That's right up next, right here on the JTC channel. Thank you. Upstate Vermont. A man outside the forest and woods in upstate Vermont near Morristown now officially faces second-degree murder charges in the stabbing of victims. Morristown, Vermont. A Vermont man is facing a second-degree murder charge in the stabbing death of a victim in Morristown. Seth Brunell, age 43, who police describe as a transient foreigner, was scheduled to appear in court Wednesday in Hyde Park to answer to these charges. A preliminary investigation has determined the victim, Zachary Barbeau, age 29, also known as Fern Feather of Heinsberg, was stabbed to death on Tuesday. Police say that Brunell and Barbeau met several days ago at a associated hotspot where they spent time together. The two were spotted in a vehicle by Lamar County Sheriff's deputies at 8 a.m. on Tuesday near the parking lot of the Lamar North Supervisory Union of Hyde Park. Police state that before 10:15 a.m., Barbeau and Brunell arrived in a vehicle at a location 2 miles from Morristown. At 10:20, a passerby called 911 to report the suspicious circumstances. Brunell told police he was defending himself after Barbeau made an advance and attacked him, but investigators observed no injuries nor evidence of a struggle of an assault with Brunell. An attorney for Brunell could not be immediately reached for comment. And there are some unusual circumstances surrounding this, particularly the area where it occurred. And right now there's a lot that has to be done, so that will be done in a part 2, essentially. But it's very, very interesting. He stabbed him to death, and it was right here in Morristown outside of the Hyde Park. Hyde Park is one of the most infamous areas of that part of Vermont. And of course, it's well known that hunters and similar folks frequent the woods around Vermont. So this is nothing especially new. But some of the circumstances surrounding this are definitely new and deserve some careful review as well. So I thank you. Let's make certain to get this case out there to the public where it needs to be seen more widely. Burlington Free Press. Close friends remember Fern Feather, a multi-gender person who was killed in Morristown, Vermont. People who knew Fern Feather during their life say she was free-spirited, kind, and gentle, and that any time spent with her was memorable. Feather held no prejudices against anyone and spent much of her time nurturing the people, plants, and animals who entered her orbit, friends stated to the Burlington Free Press. That's why those who loved Feather were outraged and confused when she was stabbed to death in Morristown on April 12th, and the man was arrested for her death, claiming he was being assaulted by Feather. That man's version of Feather, age 29, of Heinsberg, does not sit well with those who know her in the LGBTQ extended community. Feather's death has prompted a huge response from Vermont residents across the state, including Governor Phil Scott, and the legislature who have condemned violence against multigenders. The man arrested in Feather's murder, Seth Brunell, age 43, told police that Feather picked him up as a hitchhiker, and they only knew each other a few days. Brunell pleaded not guilty on April 14th to second-degree murder, and he has been jailed without bail at the Northeast Correctional Complex in St. Johnsbury since then. Friends of Feather's state it was completely in character for her to pick up a hitchhiker, since she would not often connect with people in the margins. Fern attacked someone, yes, like with a daffodil, or do you know, maybe some hubbles or glitter? Joked Feather's friend Jude Elford. A force of beauty, Feather's web of friends and loved ones began growing when she arrived in Montpelier, Vermont, 1 decade ago. People have known her by several names and pronouns over time since then. In March, Feather announced on her Facebook that she identified as a multigender. Elford, a resident of the Hardwick area, stated that she met Feather for the first time at All Species Day in 2009 during an annual celebration parade in Montpelier. They were young and bright and radiant and just had that footloose, fancy-free energy about them. They just skipped and hopped and tumbled into our crew. It seemed immediately like they were meant to be there and had always been a part of us. Other friends remember meeting Feather while she worked as a cashier at Hunger Mountain Co-op in Montpelier in the early 2010s. One of those friends, Murphy Robinson of Worcester, said they were struck by Feather's energy and sparkly-eyed greetings. She was just a force of beauty in the co-op, Robinson stated. Everyone that came through her line in the cash register got a warm smile. Robinson added she just had a presence and aura about her, being fully in the moment with everyone that she met and valuing people for who they were. Suzanne Paulheiser, then owner of Salt Cafe of Montpelier, stated she also met Feather at Hunger Mountain Co-op quite a few times. She later offered Feather a job at the Salt, where Feather decided to work for a while. I picked her checkout line because she looked like the most vibrant person in the room. I just remember kind of seeing Fern for the first time and thinking, well, that's the checkout line I wish to be in. Feather was remembered as being a nurturer and a free spirit. It just felt like she was always trying to make little nests with beautiful things and birds. I just think she had a reverence for life and loved to bring aliveness to most parts of the world. Podheiser stated that Feather hated the phrase, kill two birds with one stone, preferring to plant flowers, or plant two flowers with one seed. They stated Feather acted as sort of a mother for the group at the cafe, making sure everyone was taken care of and had food to eat. Long trips and adventures across the country were interspersed amid Feather's time in Vermont, but even after long periods without seeing Feather, friends stated she always greeted them and reunited with a big hug and smile each time. So a very tragic story, ultimately, and quite sad. And, you know, people will have their comments on people who choose different life paths, but this was just a wonderful person, and I want us to always remember that and keep that at the forefront of these issues. And it's tragic that she's no longer with us as a result of this crime. And there's a couple of things that will be said about it, but I just would love it if you could go ahead and continue to spread the word on this story. Very few know about this murder that took place just within the last week here. So thank you again. And then this was part of it that was towards the end. A Morristown man charged with killing a victim and leaving his body on the steps of the Morristown train station last week is to remain in lockup, the judge decided. The judge also stated he will revisit the case in 2 weeks. Lamar Harris, age 33, was charged with first-degree murder and robbery in the March 29th killing of a man identified as MP. A local resident had called the police at 12:30 a.m. and reported finding the man's body. And this will, of course, be kept to a short duration for the video segment, but I just wanted to show there are connections between the first suspect and also Mr. Harris, who committed the train station murders in Morristown. So there are connections between Lamar Harris and the original suspect who murdered Feather. So it's very, very unfortunate. It says that the men left the store separately and headed in the same direction, walking past a large construction project. But the two sides differ on what happened next. Calzone stated her client walked in front, followed by the victim. Shellhorn stated the victim was actually in front, followed by the suspect, who picked up a brick at the construction site before using it to kill the victim, as surveillance footage has proven. It was undisputed that unfortunately the victim struggled with severe addiction and could have spent the money on drugs, lost the money, or that other homeless individuals may have taken it. No video surveillance was found at the scene that could offer more explanations. So in other words, they weren't satisfied by the eyewitness reports of Lamar Harris having killed these people. They felt that there was a lot more that needed to be shown. He is a 2007 graduate of Morristown High School. Lamar Harris did not speak to anyone during the closing hearing. He struggles with serious physical health issues, and Calzone declined to name the other problems that were going on. If convicted on murder, Lamar Harris faces life in prison without any possibility for parole. So the judge ruled that they would have to be kept in lockup, but it's just sad because that area of Morristown, New Jersey, has a lot of problems, and it's just sad that they're still getting that figured out, you know. And so Harris was connected to the suspect who killed Feather. So I appreciate you guys getting the story, out there. Get it out to the public, though, for sure. Let's make sure everyone knows about this. Thank you again. The Quiet Vigil in Vermont honors the life of the slain binary woman. In Morristown, Vermont, hundreds gathered Saturday to honor the life of a binary woman recently stabbed. The vigil in the park of Morristown was intended to highlight her life and the dangers and discrimination that all types of biases face in our world. A 43-year-old man has pleaded not guilty to a charge of murder in the second degree with the fatal stabbing of Feather. Police state a preliminary investigation determined the victim was killed on Tuesday. A passerby found the victim's body that same Tuesday morning. So it's great that they honored them and they had an official vigil, and everybody in Morristown showed up to honor these people. It's a great story, and it just wrapped up on April 17th as well. Always keep spreading the word. I appreciate it. Thank you. Community gathers around to honor slain binary woman. And, it is, it's quite tragic because when these things happen, they come very, very sudden. And regardless, personal issues aside, we all honor our victims and our brethren, and this was someone with a very good heart. And it's always sad when this kind of thing happens. We are heartbroken by the loss of one of our community, Fern Feather. Fern brought such joy to many who were honored to know her, and we grieve the loss of their light in the world. Posted Pride Center of Vermont. The center is planning a virtual support group space on April 21st, and there it will hold also a vigil to celebrate Fern's life and honor the joy of being binary. Prosecutors have charged Seth Brunell, age 43, with second-degree murder. Brunell, who was not known to have a fixed address at the time, has been spending time with Feather very often. Roughly 2 hours before Feather was found, officers with the Lamar County Sheriff's Department had encountered the pair in a car together in the parking lot near the Supervisory Union of Lamar North. Deputies checked on them and waited for them to leave. Upon arrest, Brunell told police that he had been defending himself and not doing anything else. Investigators observed no injuries or evidence of a struggle. Last year, however, Scott signed a law banning the LGBTQ panic defense, which it was considered a legal tactic at the time for defendants to attempt to excuse violence. The law specifically pertains to circumstances in which the victim made a non-forcible or non-criminal romantic advance. An arraignment scheduled for Brunell is on Wednesday, but it was delayed until Thursday so the lawyer can get everything into writing. A police affidavit in support of the murder charge is pending. So it's just always very important. And, we hear these kind of things happen a lot sometimes. And so, I appreciate you guys just to continue to get the word out and definitely get it to the general public. It's definitely a loss to a lot of people in America and definitely to Vermont. So thank you again. I appreciate it.